Thank you for turning to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at an interesting facet to Traveler, amber zones and red zones. What are they? Why are they important and why should you care? We're going to go into that a little bit. Why they can be good things to drive a story for you. Both amber and red zones have a lot of utility for the player characters. So we're just going to dive deep into what can end up being an important part of the Traveler universe. Amber zones and red zones, today on page 121. Amber zones and red zones in Traveler. Why do we care? Well, we need to care. I'm going to go into that. First, I want to make a mention that, again, I'm still pushing for subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed and have the opportunity to, please do. Trying to grow the channel always. So if you could help out, that'd be wonderful. Back to the regularly scheduled program. I show you a copy of the old Traveler's Aid Society, the Journal of the Traveler's Aid Society, because most of the amber zone and red zone designations are going to come from, they're going to be disseminated rather through TAS, Traveler's Aid Society. Many times the Imperium itself will be the ones that make the designation if something is an amber zone or a red zone. But you'll most likely hear about it in-game as your travelers are traveling via the Traveler's Aid Society. First off, I'm going to define what an amber zone is. An amber zone is for an area of space, or more likely a planet of settlement of some type, that for whatever reason a traveler would have to exercise caution when visiting. It could be a place where the social mores are different than what we have in normal imperial society. It could be that there is a balkanized government on the planet where the laws change as you move from area to area, so you have to be aware of that. It could also be that maybe the planet itself is undergoing an internal war, something that hasn't gotten to the scale where the Imperium would need to get involved, but is still a war going on nonetheless. So, and amber zones can also be that there is an infectious but non-fatal disease down on the planet. So if you are going to go down to the planet, you might have to quarantine when leaving the planet for 2 weeks until you're sure that the disease is gone. And diseases can lead to red zones. I'll get to that in a moment. But there are a lot of different reasons for amber zones to be declared. And for player characters, amber zones are where a lot of the fun is. So much so that the old JTAS, on page 32 here, I just pulled this issue out at random to show it. They used to have a column called Amber Zone. And basically, these were adventure hooks that would maybe use an amber zone, maybe not, but it would give you an idea of things that could be a problem for you down on the planet or dealing with individuals. So I just thought it was kind of interesting that there used to be an actual article in the magazine called Amber Zone, which, again, it's just adventure hooks. It's only a couple paragraphs for the story and then the referee's information. But this was written by Lauren Wiseman. And this is a really good way to get your travelers involved in an adventure. And Amber Zone can be a very interesting place for your travelers to adventure. The game I'm running now started on Matmos in the Spinward Marches. And Matmos at the time had no designation and in fact was applying for client state status through the Third Imperium. But what happened on Matmos during the course of the first 3 games I was running is that there was a revolution on the planet. So while the players were actually there interacting with everybody, there was a revolution. So now Matmos, in my travel universe, is an amber zone. You can trade there, but you're doing so at your own risk because there's a revolution going on. It might be that one side or the other might abscond with your ship or take you hostage or whatever. So those are things to be aware of. So Matmos will be getting the amber zone designation, at least in my travel universe. Now, the way the way Traveler's Aid Society would disseminate this information in my universe is when you go into the local information as you come in system. You come in system, you can query the local beacons or whatever as to information that you need, such as flight plans, where you can take your ship, things like that. But also, the Traveler's Aid Society would also dispense any kind of cautions as far as traveling to the planet. Maybe this continent on the one planet is interdicted because of some type of disease native to the planet. So maybe Amber Zone says, stay away from that continent. You'll go there, you go at your own risk, you're subject to quarantine, things like that. So for me, it's more of a casual kind of thing, a travel at your own risk. And real nations on our world now issue travel advisors all the time based on what they feel would be dangerous potentially for their citizens. So you can just take a look at the real world stuff and you can draw that into and expand it into your traveler game. An amber zone can be a very interesting place to play. Now let's take a look at a red zone. A red zone is put out by the Imperium and enforced by the Imperial Navy. And a red zone is an absolute ban on going there. If a sector, not a sector, I'm sorry, if a system is designated a red zone, you are not allowed to be there, period. There are a few different reasons for red zones. One can be an internal war that has gotten way out of hand. Maybe both sides have started throwing nukes. So the Imperium will go in and they'll interdict that area, make it a red zone for however long it takes to resolve the conflict. Disease, as I've said, is another reason for a red zone. There might be some kind of virulent disease down there that just can't get off the planet. So they make it a red zone. But it could also be a red zone to protect a native species that isn't ready for contact by outside forces. In that case, it's a red zone for the protection of the people on the planet, and it's to keep people from outside the planet contaminating their society. Those kind of red zones are often looked to be blockade run by smugglers who see a big opportunity for maybe a local product that they could take to another market and make big money on. So maybe they do want to try to get into that red zone. Red zones carry more penalties. You have Imperial ships out there, you have warcraft out there, you have all kinds of stuff. You probably don't want to be caught messing around in a red zone. But a scenario for if you do want to do something in a red zone is, for instance, if one of your players has just rolled his character and his character ends up being a retired naval, like a lesser officer, and maybe that officer had been assigned to the interdiction duty in the red zone. Maybe they found a gap in the satellite coverage of the planet that if somebody were to coast in, come into from jump far enough out that the Imperial presence would not register it, and then coast into the planet and make landfall through this blind spot, maybe they could run the risk of getting down to the red zone planet for whatever might be down there. Red zone planets are also often interdicted because they're sites of ancient technology. The Imperium does not want that stolen. They want it to be theirs to do research and build on as they can. So that would be a good reason to try to break a red zone, would be to get down to the planet, get your hands on some of the technology that's down there, and then get out of planet. But the scenario that I'm proposing, your guy was a rating or an officer aboard the ship. He found the gap in the sensor coverage and dutifully reported it, and the Imperium being what it is, they dutifully ignored it. So when he mustered out, he said, well, the heck with it. If they're not going to do anything about it, I'm going to exploit it. So maybe he talks his fellow travelers into making this high-risk run. It is high risk because a lot of red zones, it's just, if you're there, the Imperium fires on you and you're gone. You could be arrested. As a traveler GM, I would have the players arrested rather than just blown away. But it's something you have to be aware of when you're running a red zone, is that there should be harsh consequences for somebody caught running a completely interdicted planet or system. There's a reason the Imperium wants you kept out of there, and they're going to enforce that rather forcefully. So it's just something to think about. So again, just a short video today on Amber Zone and Red Zone, what they are, and why they can be great adventure hooks for your games. A good Red Zone game, you could run a game or two just getting the players in to make landfall, and then a game or two on the planet, and then getting back out, all without being caught by the Imperial presence. So just some food for thought there, and Traveler. I thank you for joining me today. I hope you liked what you heard and saw. If you did, please like and subscribe. Always trying to grow the channel. Please remember the Patreon. Appreciate any help I can get there. And that's it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time on page 121.